policy of the government. Alright, so the next part we want to look at is public debt. Public debt is defined as the total amount the central bank owes. So if you are owing someone, it's your own debt, it's your private debt. But if the central bank is owing someone, it's a public debt. Public debt is usually accumulated over a long period of time. It can be categorized into two. We have the domestic debt and the external debt. Domestic debt refers to the debt that the government owes to domestic or local economic agents. So if you have a lot of money in Ghana and the government comes to borrow from you, it's domestic debt. If the government borrows from the central bank, it's a domestic debt. If the government borrows from any bank within the country, it's a domestic debt. The other type of public debt is the external debt. External debt, on the other hand, refers to debt that the government owes to foreign or external economic agents. So we have foreign economic agents that including the World Bank. Its actual name is the International Bank for Reconstruction and Development, and also the government can sometimes borrow from the International Monetary Fund and other multinational institutions. Because the government did not borrow from within the country, it's called an external debt. Alright. The categorization of public debt can also be done according to the terms of maturity. So in such a categorization, we can have the short-term public debt and the long-term public debt. Short-term public debts are debts that are payable within a year, and the long-term debt is a debt that is payable after a year. If the government borrows for a period of 10 years, such a debt is called a long-term debt. As the public debt grows, people and businesses in the country have to prepare to pay higher taxes for the debt, since it eventually has to be paid off. So if the government is borrowing now, it is likely that in the near future we'll be paying high taxes. The taxes will be revenue received by the government to offset such debts. Even if we don't pay with such high taxes, maybe our grandchildren will come to pay because the debt still waits for us. It is therefore important that levels of debt are well managed or kept under control. So I will entreat all of you, be given to financial news and news on the economy, and check if government of Ghana, for instance, is owing, or government of Mali is owing. If the government is borrowing too much, as you study more and more of economics, you can advise the government that, hey, we have to manage our debt, because as it accumulates, by all means we will be paying, and we might have to pay by high taxes, or our children or grandchildren would have to pay. The next thing I want to expound on is a typical national budget. This is an example of our 2010 national budget. As we mentioned when we were studying budget has two sides. We have the revenue side and we have the expenditure side. So this is the revenue side. The revenue, we have, as you can see, we have the total revenue. This column is the 2010 budget estimate, and aside the budget estimate, there was a target set. So this is a target. This is a provisional out 10 for January to September. This is what the amount of money that was received. This is a projected out 10. That is what we were expecting to receive, and this is a percentage change of our budget estimate. Okay, so let's look at the total revenue. We had 8 billion, all are in millions. So this is 8 billion 264 million, and so the total revenue is divided into different categories. We have tax revenue. So the lion's share of the total revenue was from tax revenue, and even under tax revenue we have indirect tax and direct tax, international taxes, and also non-tax revenue, money received not from taxes but from other sources, like the surpluses of state-owned enterprises, and also grants. Do you remember what grant is? Grant is money we receive from probably developed countries and some other multinational organizations. Sometimes we receive them for free, sometimes we are supposed to pay just some small interest on them. So this is the revenue side of the 2010 national budget. And we have the expenditure side. The expenditure side, we have our total expenditure. It has the same columns as the revenue. Under the expenditure, we have the recurrent expenditure. And also under the recurrent expenditure, we have wages and salaries, goods and services, and we have transfers, interest payments, and other recurrent expenditure. Apart from recurrent expenditure, we have the capital expenditure, and that is the expenditure side. And this is domestic finance, that is loan repayment. Foreign finance, this is also loan repayment. This is domestic loan we are paying back, and this is external loan we are paying back. And this is HIPIC and MDRI finance. HIPIC is highly indebted poor countries, monies we receive, grants and others probably we need to pay back. And also arrears. Arrears means that monies that have accumulated from the past, actually arrears clearance and tax refunds. So this is the expenditure side of the government budget. So you know, public debt also factors into the national budget every year. So this is just a brief history of Ghana's public debt. Ghana's total debt is an issue that raised a lot of concern to every economic agent in Ghana. It has been growing consistently, both in absolute terms and as a percentage of the gross domestic product. As at the end of August 2013, the total public debt stood at 22.737 billion US dollars. Out of this, total external debt amounted to $10.167 billion, which is about 45% of the debt stock, and domestic debt was $12.57 billion. Yes, so representing 55% of the total debt stock as a percentage of GDP. The debt stock stood at 49.44% at the end of August 2013. So this is just an exposition of public finance or public sector economics in terms of fiscal policy and public debt. Thank you so much. I'll be expecting your questions. Have a wonderful time. Bye.